Was that her podcast or your podcast?
Yes, I just did a podcast with Jennifer Archuleta, Unfiltered.
Oh, I think I no. There's a David Archuleta. I don't know if I know Jennifer Archuleta. I'd have to look. I'll have to look her up for work.
Right.
For work.
Yeah, totally.
Google image search is like now my job.
Right.
Uh,
Oh,
that's rad though. What I put was that her podcast or like Playboy's?
yeah, it's Unfiltered with Jennifer Archuleta.
Okay, I'll look it up.
Yeah.
Right on, dude. I don't know if you know anything about like who I am or what I do, but there's a whole lot of vintage downhill bike geeks all around the world. Like it's it's really growing and taking off. Like people like your and my age are like thinking back to our youth when we didn't when maybe we didn't have money to buy the Foes Fly and the Monster T, but we do now, you know? So
Right, right,
it's
right.
like really kind of taken off. So I started the vintage downhill page where I just like posted stuff back in 2017, and that
Okay.
took off to like 16,000 like subscribers, but people wanted to interact. So I created a group and I'm just like, this is gonna die. We're gonna run out of stuff to talk about. But now that's got 40,000 people in it all around the world. And
Awesome.
then like people like Nathan Rennie and Steve Pete and stuff were showing up, and I'm like, well, I need to like start a podcast so we can actually like talk to these dudes. And it just, I don't know. People are really into it. I mean, you know better than anybody, thinking back to like, whatever was going on in 1998, the video premieres and the riding and all the partying and shit. So, yeah.
Oh yeah, good times, good memories, good times. And people love nostalgia and people love to relive their youth. So
Yeah.
it's natural. And bicycles are a big part of many of our lives. So
Yeah.
people are going to be drawn to it. So good for you for doing something very cool to channel this and to have people talk to various different people from the industry and from their past.
Yeah.
And I think it's awesome. I just talked to Bender yesterday on the phone,
Yeah.
and he said that he did one with you.
Yeah, dude, that was
He
so
said you were a cool
rad.
dude.
That was so rad. Like, I fully expected to have to drive up. He lives like in a cabin off grid in the middle of nowhere, pretty much. And so I'm in Northern California. I'm like 30 miles east of San Francisco. But
Okay.
he's in far north California, like in the middle of a forest. And I
Okay.
totally expected I was just gonna drive up and hang out at his cabin. And he's like, "No, I'm coming down." I'm like, "Really?" And it's like a 2.5 hour drive each way. And he showed up, and we went and rode bikes. I showed him our local trails, had lunch, and had a super fun time. So that actually is airing tomorrow.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's cool. Super
he's a,
cool.
he's a really good dude.
Yeah, he's awesome.
I've really enjoyed,
Ben's
kind
awesome.
of getting to know people because everybody has been I've talked to like world champion downhillers that are like super humble people and like really nice. So
Yeah.
that's been really enjoyable.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, good to hear.
Dude, and I have to say, like, obviously, I'm a bike geek, and I came up. I'm a little bit younger than you, but I came up. I started racing like in 1996 and worked in the industry, so obviously I'm a fan of yours. But I had to do, and you have a lot of fans, and people love you. But I had to do research just to kind of bone up because, like, I've watched all those videos. We played Pulp Traction in the bike shop I worked in back in 1995
Oh my God.
before it got yanked, but I had to go back and like re-listen, and then I listened to your podcast with Gypsy Tales, and dude, you're just a really impressive person. And so
Great. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Tell me more. Tell me more.
well, I mean, so part of what I do, and I do it on purpose, is I brag for people because people are humble and they won't brag for themselves. Um, so, I went to the induction ceremony at the Mountain Bike Hall of Fame, and like Jeff Stieber was there, and Zapata Espinoza was there, and I had my daughter, my 13-year-old daughter rides bikes. So, like, I introduced Zapata as being like one of the most important, journalists in the industry, and Jeff Stieber as designing probably the most important downhill bike ever, like right in front of them because they won't say it, right?
Yeah.
But in researching you and just making sure that I was prepared to talk today, I'm just like, and I was telling my wife, he's just a really good dude. Your story, meeting the one police officer up in Kamloops or wherever. I'm like, you've impacted people along the way for the better. So
Oh,
anyway,
good. well, trying to make the world a better place and have a good time along the way.
Yeah,
So,
dude.
um,
What
yeah,
are you up
I try
to?
to make other people happy because I'm selfishly happy when other people are happy. So by making other people happy, then I'm happy. So I'm just
That's
being
a good
selfish.
way to be. I got into high tech sales. I'm down here in the Bay Area, Silicon Valley. I got into high tech sales after the bike industry, and I never really thought that I wanted to be a sales guy. And sales guys earn their reputation. Like they have a bad reputation, and most of it is earned. And I'm like, I'm just not going to be that way. And I kind of developed the sales ethos: make my customers successful, and I will be successful, right? And that's just kind of the
Right.
way I rolled. And because I have to be able to like, live with myself, and like I kind of figured out a way to be like an ethical salesperson, focus on the success of others, and mine will follow, right?
Yes. Yes.
So.
I like
I
it.
try. I try. I'm not always successful, but that's how I roll.
That's all you can do is try, right? That's all we can do is swing the bat.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. So a little bit more about what we do and how we do it is obviously I celebrate and educate on people like you because you're heroes of the sport, but we geek out on bikes a lot too.
Right?
And I remembered I
Because
was
we're all
thinking
bike nerds.
we're total bike nerds. I mean, we really are, you know? I mean, dude, if you saw the rest of my house, the rest of my house looks like this, like just bike museum. I have
Right.
Greg Menard's 2003 Rampage bike behind me. Um,
That's
yeah,
super cool.
yeah. So I'm hoping you'll humor me if along the way we can geek out on bikes a little bit too, because
For sure.
I was thinking to myself in preparation, like, weren't you hucking it on like a Gary Fisher Joshua URT or something back in the day? And I went back and looked. I can't remember if it was Pulp Traction or one of those. Sure enough, dude, you're hucking cliffs on a Gary Fisher Joshua URT back in like 1996
Yeah, it
or
was
7.
Gary Fisher, Joshua Y, a
Yeah.
burgundy one. And the bottom bracket was part of the swing arm. So the suspension was kind of like, yeah, it didn't really work that well, but hey, I didn't know any better. So we sucked whatever we had. At Pulp Traction, I actually was on hardtail.
Yeah.
Um, on a fully rigid, I was on a Ritchie Ultra, actually cross country bike
Oh
with
wow.
rigid forks, and that's what we were using. But for Pulp Traction, it was sponsored by Specialized, so we had to use Specialized M2s,
Uh-huh.
these little aluminum, and they're all size smalls because they were sent for Richie Slay and Derek Westerland, who made the new Willis Order movies, to ride on. And I ended up like poaching that shoot, but I was like 6 feet, 220 pounds, so I had to use this tiny little hardtail to ride down these crazy steeps, and so we did. And then it wasn't until a couple of years later that we did Cranked, where I was actually on a Gary Fisher Joshua Y.
You had like a RockShox Indy, I think, on that bike, and one of you guys broke it.
Yeah, I did. I bent
Uh,
it right. I bent the wheel right back until it was touching the down tube. Um, it was that whole that whole shoot was a crazy shoot for Pulp Traction. Um, in that I don't know if you've heard the story before,
well,
but
I have, but not everybody has.
all right. So yeah, so basically, um, I was snowboarding at Whistler at Blackcomb, and I ran into Greg Stump, who made the cool ski movies of the time,
Yeah.
and he's like, "Hey, Tippie, do you know anyone who can do a 360 on a mountain bike?" And I'm like, no, I don't know anyone who can do a 360 on a mountain bike, but my buddy Richie Slade can do one on a BMX. I saw him do one yesterday at the skate park. He's like, really? I'm like, yeah. I go, I'm sure he could do one on a small mountain bike. He's like, okay, cool, thanks. And so then um that was the end of the winter. That was springtime. I was in the woods tree planting these little trees for 15 cents a tree, saving money to go snowboard racing. And I heard the rumor that Greg Stump was sending Christian Beijing, who ended up being the director and lead cameraman and director of the Cranked 1, 2, and 3, was coming to town to film Richie's Sleigh, do a 360 on a mountain bike. And I was actually deep in the woods, probably like 40 miles in the woods. And I was actually, I don't know how PC you're thinking of, I'll tell you the truth.
Not PC.
Okay, I was on mushrooms and I was with these two
Still,
girls, uh, and we were making out, and the two girls were making out, and I was making out with each girl, and I thought I was going to have my first threesome. And then all of a sudden, Craig Olson, who I used to mountain bike ride with back then, said, Tippie, we're going to town if you want to ride. We're leaving in 5 minutes. And my tent was out in the woods with these two girls, and I was like, girls, I gotta go. And they went, no, you can't go anywhere. We're gonna go back. No, what do you mean you have to go? Why, where do you have to go? And I go, I'm gonna try and be in a mountain bike movie. And so I ran over to Craig Olson's car and I jumped in and I got the ride to town and I went home and I went to bed. I didn't go partying. I was there the next morning and Richie did his 360 and he landed it. And then I ended up burning one with him. And then he did another 360, but he got off access and he ended up crashing and driving his face into the ground. Ugh.
oh,
And
is
this
that the
was,
one where his face was just covered in dirt?
no, that was Wade Simmons. That was from a different one. That
Oh,
was
okay.
Wade.
Sorry.
But it was video. So we didn't know, it was film, sorry, not video. So we couldn't just watch it and check it out. Turns out after, it got developed, which took, a month and a half to get it sent away and developed and get back. The 360 that he landed was out of focus. And the one that where he crashed was in focus. So when the movie came out, they only put the crash in and not the 360 that he did.
Damn.
Anyway, so that was, we didn't know that till months later. Anyway, so after he did the 360, we shot a little bit of single track and they're like, okay, well, that's that. Now what do we do? And I was like, let's go ride some steeps. They're like, what? I go, come with me. And so we didn't call it free riding yet back then. I call it riding steeps. So
Hmm.
we went to these steep slopes where the bike ranch is now. And I said, I'm going to ride that. And they said, what? They didn't believe me. And I went, oh, yeah, no, I've already done it. And they went, as if. And I'm like, give me a bike. And so I took one of the specialized bikes and I hiked to the top and I went down. I rode down this super gnarly, long, steep thing. Got going so fast and I was bouncing and swapping left and right and bouncing. I barely hung onto the thing with this little tiny bike. And then I hit the ditch right by the road at the bottom, bent the front wheel right into the down tube, bent the forks, rah, and handed the bike back. And there you go. And
One take. I hope you got it.
yeah, totally, exactly. And that was it. That was the first rowdy free riding line that had ever been filmed.
Damn.
And then we were down to one bike.
So
Yeah, we had,
that was Pulp Traction. I had to go back and watch that. Pulp Traction
that was Pulp
had
Traction, 1995. That was
that
Pulp
had
Traction.
like Cactus Cup footage. It had like cross. Remember they were trying to make like cross country look cool, you know?
Yeah, 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 exactly.
With Cactus Cup, and they'd play rock music. It was like, looking back on it, I don't know, but then
Yeah, it was like watching paint dry.
they had just a few minutes of you guys like basically riding off trail, but I guess they didn't realize like you weren't like anywhere environmentally sensitive, but they didn't know that.
Yeah, because in a lot of places in the States, there was a lot of land use issues, and people were battling for land use. And
Yeah,
well, up in Canada, it's just there's just land everywhere, and there's no issue. There's people go dirt biking in the hills and 4x4 in the hills, mountain biking in the hills. It's
yeah,
pretty small footprint compared to someone with a Toyota 4x4 jacked up and spinning out, and or some guy on a YZ 250 dirt biking around. And so, yeah, we just rode everywhere. And then we got in a lot of trouble for riding off trail. And they almost,
You got in trouble with Mike Sinyard, not with the county or city of Kamloops,
no,
right?
no, we didn't get in trouble with Mike Sinyard. Mike Sinyard was the owner of Specialized. Mike Sinyard was getting flack from his dealers and from
Oh,
and the Sierra Club and from different people. So people were like going to Specialized, going, hey, like your movie has off trail riding and these people are bad. And we were bad people. So it was like IMBA and Sierra Club and like
yeah,
people fighting for land access in places where that was a sensitive subject.
yeah. Yeah, dude, I'm down here, I said in the Bay Area, which I just remembered you filmed like Slay on the Bay with Hans Ray a
Oh,
few
Play
years
the
back.
Bay with Hans Ray. Yeah.
And you rode Mount Diablo, which is like my backyard. I grew up at the base of Mount Diablo. That's where I started mountain biking, and I guess I can say it out loud, but you weren't riding on legal trails that day.
Oh, I didn't know. Yeah, I don't know. I know I did. I did a gnarly line up at the top, right where there's like a tower up there, like
Yeah,
a
it's all
watch.
super rocky. Yeah.
And it's super rock. So I wrote a line off the back, and Hans Ray didn't want me to do it because you can't ride that. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna ride it right now. He's like, no, 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 you'll hurt yourself. We need you for the shoot. You can't do that. And I go, yes, I can. And he's like, I don't want to film it because you're gonna hurt yourself. And I go, I'm gonna be fine. Just get your camera out. And so I wrote it, and it was fine.
Yeah.
Like it was really rough and bumpy, and then I ended up making it. And then we rode down to the bottom.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know where we rode, but I guess, as you say, maybe it wasn't legal.
That section I don't think was legal. Back in the day, we would shuttle up to the top with beers, and my friends that smoked would bring the smoke, but we'd have like three, four beers and then drop down that in the dark because we'd go up at sunset and drop down in the dark and then end up at the local brew pub and have more beers. But yeah, that's my backyard.
Oh, like a good time?
Total good time, dude. I still have my jerseys that are just shredded from flying off the trail into the chaparral and stuff. Got to hang on to those. So,
Right. Oh
hey,
man.
for us down here in California, tell us what was life like growing up in Kamloops?
Oh, it was awesome. Kamloops is one of the only deserts in Canada.
Yeah.
And so the storms come in off the Pacific and they hit the coast mountain range and it just rains because the storms and the clouds hit the mountains, rains. So Vancouver, Squamish, Whistler, lots of rain. Snow in the winter for Whistler, obviously, but lots of rain in Squamish and Vancouver. And then after the rains dump their load, they go up and over, and then they pick up enough moisture from the lakes and rivers that they start dumping again around Revelstoke, which
Hmm.
has the most snow of almost anywhere in the world. But that strip in between where they hit the first mountains and before they pick up enough moisture to dump their load again, there's a strip in here that's sagebrush, cactus. We have rattlesnakes. It's actually desert in Canada, and it's
Wow.
not very big. Um, it's only a few hundred miles. Um, in length, but we have a desert. And so that's Kamloops. It's very dry. It's not arid, it's semi-arid, but so it's desert-like. We still get snow in the winter and whatnot, but
Hmm.
it's absolutely amazing. And where I grew up in a town called Kamloops, it used to be a lake, and the lake has receded. Now there's just a river going through the valley, but
Hmm.
there's these clay bluffs everywhere that are made of clay, and so you can ride steep ass chutes and lines and cliffs and stuff that are made of clay. And if you crash, there's no rocks or roots to hurt yourself on. You're just in clay.
Hmm.
And so you could try the steepest, gnarliest lines with less repercussions to your body because there's no rocks or roots in it. It was just clay.
And so,
And
go ahead.
then once we'd get the moves kind of dialed on that steep clay, we could take them to the rock of regular places in BC that had more rock and roots and whatnot. So it was
Hmm.
a perfect training ground. And the shapes and formations and the light down the valley was perfect for shooting. And the dusk would, rise up and create very visually enticing
Yeah.
for the movies like Cranked and whatnot.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, just doing a Google image search of you, there's a bunch of shots of you just dirt surfing, basically. But yeah, it's really a photographic environment.
Yeah, it's amazing. And Kamloops is like kind of a blue collar town. And so there's a lot of ranchers and a lot of miners and loggers. It's a real blue collar, tough mentality town.
Uh-huh.
And a lot of sporty people come out of there because it is a gritty, tough place, and there's not much to do like there's not many concerts that come through. So if you want to be cool, you got to be kind of gnarly at
Yeah.
doing sports. If you want to kiss a pretty girl, you got to be badass, and everyone else is badass there. So it creates a very high level of action athlete.
So, before mountain biking, you were snowboarding, but I don't even know what you call it because it's not really popular down here. You were like racing snowboards.
Yeah, I did all kinds of snowboarding. I rode powder a lot, like everybody, but
Yeah,
I also was racing a lot.
yeah,
And so eventually, if you want to be fast, you go from using soft boots to hard boots, racing boards, and almost like ski boots.
yeah.
And I would be on the clock racing, and I ended up racing World Cup, and I got into the top 10 in the world, and I was literally within a second of winning a bunch of World Cups. But in between, there'd be a few fast guys, so I never made the podium. I never won a World Cup.
Hmm.
But I was training hard, and I was getting top tens in the world. I was racing Sean Palmer in border
That's
cross.
Oh, you did
Uh,
border cross too?
I did border cross as well. I retired in 2000 as the Canadian Pro Border Cross champion.
No way.
I got 11th place in the World Championships a couple times.
Wow.
Uh, and yeah, racing guys like Jeremy Jones, who was a racer back then, and racing my heroes like Craig Kelly and Sean Palmer, obviously. But
Yeah.
yeah, it was really cool, and it was all through the 90s. I raced in snow. I went pro. I was riding for Burton in 19. What I went pro in 91, and I started riding for Burton in 1994, and
Wow.
I raced all through the 90s. And part of the reason that free ride mountain biking got its kickstart was because of my gravel boarding.
Yeah,
I
talk about that.
I couldn't, yeah, I couldn't afford to go down to South America and ride all summer because they have their reverse seasons down there. They got snow down there in the summer.
Right.
And people would go to New Zealand or people would go to South America to train my competitors. And so I was planting trees trying to make money to go snowboard racing. Because even though you're racing pro, there wasn't all the money was in freestyle. And so I would take my snowboards down the gravel pits or the sand pits and get turns in when I wasn't working in the summer, just to stay on the board.
Hmm.
I just do so many laps, and eventually I'd jump off 5 foot cliffs, 10 foot cliffs, 15 foot cliffs on my snowboard in the gravel and the sand. And if you got above 15 feet, it was hard to land because it's not very slippery. You don't sink. You just kind of anyway. So um, all those turns that I did and jumping off cliffs helped me feel natural doing it on a mountain bike when I started taking a mountain bike down there. And with a gravel board, you can't just start sliding. You have to go really fast before you can start doing turns on a gravel board. So you got to go straight for like 100 plus feet, get some speed up, then you can start making turns. And so when people started taking mountain bikes down there, people would be creeping down these slopes,
Uh-huh.
and I'd just be like pedaling into them and then jumping into the slopes and then carving turns because that's what I did in my board for 10 years or more. And so it was very natural for me to cross over that way and start a new sport literally on the bike, feeling natural and going fast and carving turns and stuff.
That's amazing, dude. We owned a skate, surf, snowboard shop in 1988, and we carried Sims. So my first snowboard I got in 88 was a Sims Switchblade, but like Sean Palmer's board, it was like pink, yellow, orange on white, just that really hyper neon, you
Oh
know.
yeah.
I should
Oh,
have
the
kept that.
80s.
I should have kept that thing. It was,
Oh, wait.
yeah, it was definitely 1980s.
It would be worth a lot of money.
Probably.
I started snowboarding. I first tried it in 81, and then I started hand building boards back in the early 80s. And 83 was one of my favorite boards, and it was a piece of plywood, and I had strips of BMX tires, Shengshin snake belly BMX tires that I would cut in strips and then screw them down on either side for bindings. And I put stick my feet under these little loops of BMX tires.
No
Then I'd have
way.
inner around the heels to hold me into the binding.
Was snowboarding even a thing back then? I didn't think it came out till the late 80s.
Yeah, it was very prehistoric. Like I say, my first number of years I hand built boards
Yeah.
and used my dad's wood shop. And I have a funny story in that I was making my first board, this little piece of plywood, and I didn't know how to curve the board, so I was trying to make I made like little steps like and then I would like screw them diagonally and then I would sand it. So the nose of the board was like a layered, really thick piece of wood.
Oh, right.
That's how I got the nose up. And
Yeah.
then I was making this plan, and my dad came down, and before I was done, he was looking at the plans, and he said, what's your plan here?" And I explained it to him, and he goes, "Can I offer you some advice?" I go, "Sure." And he goes, "Go down to the consignor store. They've got a used mono ski. Take the bindings off, put some side bindings on it. They mount in the middle. Get some soft ski boots, and you're gonna have P-Tex. You're gonna have edges. It's got camber. It'll work like a ski, but it'll be a board." And I was like, "Ha ha ha. That's funny, Dad. That's funny. No, I know what I'm doing. I got this. I got this. I got this little short piece of wood and I got fins on it and rubber strips for bindings." And he's like, "Are you sure?" I'm like, "Yep." And he's like, "Okay." Well, go forward 10 years in the future when I was riding for Burton Snowboards, I was using exactly what he was saying on the World Cup. If I
Yeah.
just would have listened to him, I would have been years ahead of time and I would have been famous.
Did snowboarding on sand and gravel just thrash your board?
Oh yeah, yeah. It's all scratched up. You can never use it for snow again.
Yeah.
But it's use an old board that you're not going to use in the snow again anyways.
Yeah.
And it's just good training, and it would scratch the hell out of it. The sandier slopes would not hurt it that bad because the sand doesn't do that much damage, but the rocks and the gravel really
Oh
would.
yeah. Yeah.
But I find that going down in the sand was quite slow and grippy. Um, and it helped if you go in the morning when it's cool or go in the evening when it's cool. But if you go in the midday, it's quite hot and quite slow. But it's quite fast when it's colder. And if you went at night with a headlamp, then it's really fast. And then as well, if you go where it's rockier, it's quite fast because you don't sink in so much. It's not so gritty as sand. But then it hurts more when you crash. So you learn not to crash.
So,
A
dude,
lot in.
you are a sandboarder aficionado.
Oh yeah, I loved it. Sand, gravel, you name it. I was into it.
That's badass. And it's rad to hear how that like really influenced your mountain biking and kind of converted you into free riding. Did you ever like do tr more traditional cross country or?
Yeah, I actually used clips for a little bit, and I had I had hardtails
Yeah.
that I would go pedal around, and the people if I wanted to ride with someone, people were into cross country, so I'd go for cross country rides. And I was a tree planter, so I my job was to hike around mountains and plant trees. So I was fit. I was a football player, and yeah, I did some XC rides.
Yeah.
Uh, what's that? Do you remember that song, "I'm Sexy and I Know It"? I saw this
Yeah.
great t-shirt. It said, "I'm XC and I know it."
Oh, dude, you got to
Yeah,
recreate that shirt.
right? Wouldn't that be a good one?
Yeah.
I'm XC and I know it.
You need to do that. I was telling Josh the other day when he first got started, he had a little thing that he called Adventures of Team Mate because he's always been into yerba mate. I'm like, dude,
Right,
that
exactly.
just sounds too cool. You got to make t-shirts.
Pretty funny. But yeah,
Oh,
I'd ride around with everyone. But I wasn't really into the mountain biking for fitness. My job was so physical that I didn't really need to be fit. I was just fit just from working.
yeah,
I wanted adrenaline. I
yeah,
wanted to huck off things. I wanted to ride steep things and see if they're rideable. And
yeah.
so everywhere I drove in my little Toyota 4x4, I'd be like, "Is that rideable? I wonder if that's rideable. Is that rideable?" And it was like a joke around all my friends that I wouldn't keep my eyes on the road because I was looking at lines everywhere I went.
That's
And
rad.
so then I called them roadside attractions where you could drive up to somewhere, hike up with your bike, and then ride down it, and then drive somewhere else and ride something else. And um, I guess I did some cross country, but I was into riding steep stuff, and that's what we called free riding back then.
So were you actually invited to be in Pulp Traction or did you just crash the party?
Oh, I definitely poached it. Yeah, yeah. I turned down the threesome just to be there, and then I showed up, and
Nobody else has that story to tell.
right? Yeah, that's a unique story for sure. And then when I rode that first really steep line, that was like um Richie Slade says that's the moment that free riding in the media was born.
Yeah.
Um and they made a movie called The Moment that has
Oh,
the history of the sport. It's
yeah.
it's on Rebel TV. You can find it on YouTube as well, I believe.
I
But
saw a
check out the
couple
movie.
clips of it last night, but I didn't find the whole thing. I had to go look it up.
Yeah, watch that one. It's a really good one. And
Yeah.
it's got myself and Richie Slade and Wade Simmons and Chris Lawrence and
Yeah.
Dave Sutherland, um, all early pioneers of the free ride movement. And Chris Lawrence was a Canadian downhill champion that got into free riding very early. Dave Sweatland was a wild man from Roslyn. Richie was an ex-Canadian BMX champion. Wade Simmons was a downhiller that crossed over to free riding in the media, and
And were
and
you all living in the same general area?
no, Dave Swellen and Chris Lawrence lived down in the Kootenays, down by Roslyn. Wade Simmons was living in North Vancouver and was a mechanic at the Deep Cove Bike Shop, which
Hmm.
was the first store to bring mountain bikes into Canada, straight up from Marin County back in the day.
Hmm.
And myself and Richie Slay were living in Whistler, but I went back and spent a lot of time in Kamloops all the time too. So I was kind of bouncing between the two. But yeah, we were all kind of in different places, but we all got together and filmed for these early movies.
And so you got to help me with pronouncing his last name. Christian. It looks like begin, but how do you pronounce it?
Beijing.
Beijing. Did you know him prior to Pulp Traction, or is that where you met? Because he went on to do
Yeah,
a
I
whole
knew
bunch.
him. I met him. Paul Traxton was in 1995, but I met Christian in 1991 when I lived in Roslyn,
Hmm.
um, down by Red Mountain. And I went down there and I went snowboarding there and I met him. And I was one of the first snowboarders that he ever filmed. And we made a film that he made with a little Sony Handycam in the yellow waterproof case
Hmm.
called Alpine Commando. And so I was the only snowboarder in that. And we rode some steep thought things like QR1, QR2, QR3, and as well as other steep lines. And then when I was racing snowboards, I got sponsored. I got second in the training times for a World Cup. My first World Cup, I got the second fastest training time. I ended up getting 22nd in the race, I think. I blew a heel turn, but I got the second fastest training time. And Burton Snowboards picked me up. And when Burton picked me up, that was the brand to ride for. They were the big dogs. That was like
Yeah.
riding for like Specialized, right?
Yeah.
And when they sponsored me, they hired Adventure Scope to make their movies back then. And Adventure Scope hired Christian Bijan to film me snowboard on a Burton snowboard. And
Hmm.
when he came to Kamloops to come film me at Sun Peaks, which was called Todd Mountain back then, we had this warm spell came through and all the powder melted and it was all slush. And he's like, "We can't shoot now. What do we do now?" And I'm like, "It's okay. Let's go gravel boarding." And he's like,
Oh,
"What? Really?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And so I took him to the sand pits and we went gravel boarding. And I was, doing shoots and doing some drops and carving it up in the gravel. And it made the movie. The movie was called Meshach, no, Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego was the name of the movie. And it was the Burton movie for that year.
what
And
was that named after? That wasn't the Beastie Boys song, was it?
yeah, the Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego is a fable, I think, from
Okay.
like from Persia or
Okay.
somewhere.
Yeah.
It's a legendary tale. Um, but it turned out the one time that I met Jake Burton, the owner of Burton Snowboards and founder, he said that that was his favorite segment in the whole movie was me carving it up the gravel pits on a board. And so that when he came down to Counts to film Richie Do the 360 to film Pulp Traction for Greg Stump, the big ski movie maker, best ski movies of all time. I knew him from Roslyn and from filming for Burton. And so yeah, we were good friends already.
That's awesome. So Pulp Traction was like 1995 and Cranked One was like 1998. Was there
Yeah,
anything?
we filmed it in 97, but it came out in 98. In
Okay.
between the movies, we did a movie um, called The Tao of Riding, which was a
Okay.
multi-sport film. It had some
Yeah.
surfing, skiing, snowboarding, mountain biking, and myself, Richie Slay, and Craig Olson, who was an early, kind of an unknown in the media pioneer of extreme mountain biking, free ride mountain biking. Um, we did some sandboarding and mountain biking mixed together down the pits. And we're jumping off small cliffs, going down these like fingers that ended in like 5, 6 foot walls and airing off them. So you ended up flying like 8, 9, 10 feet down the slope.
Yeah.
And those were some early free riding movies before Cranked was filmed in 97 and it came out in 98 at the first premiere was in Vancouver
Yeah.
and then the second premiere was at Sea Otter.
Yeah. I went to a couple of premieres of your movies. I think one was at Interbike in Las Vegas,
Yep.
and I think you were in the back pouring tequila, if I remember.
Oh yeah, I was a big tequila fan back in the day. That
But
reminds me. Have you heard about that new tequila diet? You
here
only
we
lose
go.
three,
Here we go.
you only lose 3 days.
The the king of dad jokes. You only lose 3 days. That's good.
One tequila, two tequila, three tequila floor.
Yeah. Brett, are you at all interested in time travel? Be here last Thursday.
Yeah, right.
Oh my God, dude. Do you have
I was
just
gonna,
a
I was gonna tell you a time travel joke, but you didn't like it.
you didn't like it, right? You weren't interested. You have like a photographic memory for dad jokes.
Yeah, I sure do. I sure do.
But the video premieres back in the day, you mentioned at one point that they were like you felt like a rock star or something, but they were they were huge, dude. I mean, I don't remember if we paid to get in or not because I was working at WTB and but dude, when you got in, it was like all you can drink, free alcohol, girls in bikinis, and just freaking it was like a rock concert.
Yeah, they were wild back then. There was no internet. There was no YouTube. These videos were it. And it was all new. It was all fresh. It was exciting. It was rock and roll. It was like stitches and bruises and blood and badass
Yeah.
eccentric people. Like people who were mountain bikers back then were a little bit crazy. Like it's more mainstream now, and you've got dentists and students and everybody mountain biking. Back then, it was all the freaks, and the
Yeah.
freaks were awesome. The freaks were freaky, and it was really rock and roll. And people were risk takers and very much characters. A
Yeah.
lot more, a higher percentage of them were characters that were, like I say, freaks. And we gave her, and there was a lot of partying. We're at that age where you're experimenting with everything, and
Well,
um,
and you could
it was
drink all night and ride all day. Like we were young enough to do that.
yeah, exactly. Our livers were at their peak.
Yes. Well trained. Yeah, I didn't realize the Marzocchi advertisements back in the day were like all these Playboy girls. I didn't realize Bryson Martin he was dating Pamela Anderson or something at the time.
No, 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 no. He hung out in California. He hung out with a bunch of different girls from different industries.
Okay.
Uh, but no, he hired uh, some porn stars to be
Yes.
to be in ads and stuff and
Yeah.
whatnot. And so that was that. He wasn't dating Pamela Anderson.
Where did somebody told me he was dating Pamela Anderson. I don't know. But dude, some of the bikes you had back in the day, you started off on hardtails and you were hucking your carcass on a Gary Fisher URT. Was it after you got picked up by Rocky Mountain that you started getting like real free ride bikes? And can you talk about some of those?
Sorry, can you repeat that question again?
Talk about like some of the first free ride bikes you had because you started off riding stuff that wasn't free ride. You were riding like the Gary Fisher Joshua and stuff. But once you got onto Rocky Mountain, you started getting like real bikes. You had like the Pipeline, which was URT, and from there RM7s and stuff like that. Which of those were like some of your favorite free ride bikes?
Oh, okay. So I had the Gary Fisher, and I did the biggest drops actually and cranked on that bike. Um, it was the summer of '97, and then we filmed some stuff in the gravel pit in Kamloops, and then I went to Interbike and I took my last paycheck from paving highways to go to Interbike, and I got sponsored by Rocky Mountain
Hmm.
as well, Richie Slay and Wade Simmons. And so then we went and did a shoot down in Grand Junction, Colorado, and I was on a Element DH race.
Yeah.
which was big travel for the day, 5 inches, and had a 4 inch travel Marzocchi Z1 on the front. And that's what we filmed, or I filmed the rest of my segments in Cranked on. And so I like that. Richie and Wade had the pipeline,
Right.
and I had the DH race.
Did they give you a
Um,
choice of which bikes you rode?
yeah, yeah. Again, I looked at the suspension system of the pipeline, and it was adjustable in 4 inches, 5 inches, or 6 inches. And so the bottom bracket was part of the swing arm,
Yeah.
like the Joshua Y was,
Yeah.
URT, Unified Rear Triangle. And I was like, so when you land, the swing arm hits, from the shock, your
Yeah.
pedal is part of the swing arm. So where's the suspension in that? Like, and so I went for the DH race where the frame was separate from the swing arm and had a shock in between it.
Yeah.
So I went for that. And I bent a lot of those. I bent the seat tube on every single Element DH race Rocky Mountain that I had.
Really?
Um, and so that was part of what happened. But they would bend a little bit before they would break.
Okay.
But I broke a lot of those. And then the next year came around, and then um, I got an RM9, the one of the very first RM9s,
The big dog.
the big dog. Before I got on anything else, I went straight from an Element DH race to an RM9. It had Marzocchi monster tees
Yeah.
on the front,
Like these
and
guys.
yeah, like but it was like a early hand built one.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it's the one that I lent to Bender to do the jaw drop, which is another story unto itself we can talk about in a bit. Um, but so I had the RM9, and then I remember going to Turkey with Richie and Wade, and they had like pipelines, 4 or 5 or 6 inches of travel,
Yeah.
and I had a RM9. So I had an unfair advantage. I could just huck off everything on this huge 9 inch travel bike and be like, "Pugh." It was awesome.
That was a
And
great video too.
yeah, I love that. Love that segment. Um, and then we got arm sixes. We all got arm sixes.
Okay.
And they had the suspension system where there was just a swing arm by itself, and they broke all the time. Broke them like we didn't know how long they would last. You got a certain window with them; they would last for a bit. Doing what we're doing on them, especially, and almost any bikes weren't really ready for what we were doing on them yet.
Yeah.
We hadn't heard of Bender yet. Bender wasn't on the scene yet, and when we were like hucking off cliffs and breaking bikes and getting new bikes, and you try and get it out of there sneakily. You have a towel or a blanket you put over the broken bike, get it to your vehicle, get it out of there,
All
get
right.
a new head back out. Um, but yeah, it was crazy times.
But
And
Was Rocky Mountain pretty supportive of the whole free ride thing?
oh yeah, yeah, for sure. They sponsored us as the Fro Riders.
Yeah.
And I don't know if everyone knows the story out there, but basically they introduced us as the world's first professional mountain bike free ride team. And there was a couple girls on the team at the beginning, Karis Evans and Damien Skeleton, who was Canadian downhill champ, and Karis Evans was a rad North Shore rider. And so they had us as the world's first professional free ride team, and they put an ad out introducing us, and then Cannondale sent a cease and desist letter, said you
Yeah.
can't call yourself the free riders because we trademarked the word free ride.
Yeah.
And
And wasn't that word like already used in snowboarding for a long time prior?
yeah, like free ride had been around already. Like it's like
Yeah.
trying to trademark like skateboarding, or
Yeah.
surfing or something. It's what you call this type of riding.
Yeah.
And so instead of going to a heated court battle, we put out an ad in the next bike magazine that said, "Oh, sorry, did we say the Rocky Mountain Free Riders? We meant to say introducing the Rocky Mountain Fro Riders." And there was us with the giant wigs on.
The one where
And
you're all like in the barber shop lined up together?
yeah,
Yeah.
totally. And so the controversy took off, and the humor took off, and we became world famous. And coincidentally, Fro Riders in German means fun riders.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. And so that took off. And so we were then, getting plane tickets and getting salary, getting paid. Didn't have to work a regular job. I'd stopped tree planting and just started riding all the time. And it was really cool. Good time.
Was
And
Tarek
then,
on the team at that point?
no, we were the pro riders for a couple of years before Tarek became a Rocky Mountain free rider. And so I don't
Hmm.
know if he was um, yeah, he wasn't one of the original fro riders, but he was the European fro rider. But
Yeah.
that was a couple of years later,
Okay.
and he was like super talented, German BMX champion, great style, super flat tabletops, and just super stylish in the air, and pushing himself, to learn free riding, and take his BMX skills to the big mountains, which he did with a very, very quick learning rate. And yeah, super stylish, great guy. We had a lot of fun with Tarek.
Did you, so, when Josh and I were talking, it sounded like he had a hard time getting bike companies to get on board with the whole free ride thing because he was going so big that I guess like lawyers were afraid that people were going to get hurt. So like he had a sponsorship lined up with Specialized, and then at the last minute they're like, "No, we can't do that. You're going to get people killed." Did you get any pushback, or was like Rocky Mountain just totally all in?
Yeah, we're up here in Canada, and I don't think the legal system is the in the suing situation is as gnarly as it is in the States.
Yeah,
They're just all in, and yeah, like extreme mountain biking. Yeah, let's do it. Hey,
yeah,
and we were all in, and we were encouraged to go big and go for it.
that's
Um,
awesome.
but back then, 10 feet, 15 feet, 20 feet, I did a 25 footer. That was the biggest that I ever landed. I tried some 30 footers, but I never landed them.
Hmm.
Um, but you know, I didn't really land anything bigger than a 25-foot drop, vertical foot drop.
Uh-huh.
Um, and then Bender came in and did a 32 footer.
Hmm.
And so, that was once the 2000s were around.
Hmm.
Um, and then New World Disorder and whatnot showcased Bender for the first time. But in the 90s, we were doing like 15, 20s, 25s.
Yeah,
And then Bender came in the 2000s and did, 32 footer, as I think he landed. And he tried the jaw drop, which was like 45, close to 50
yeah.
feet.
But the
Yeah. I,
landing
I
was,
was there. I watched that. I filmed that. That footage in New World Disorder is my footage on the side shot is from my Sony High-8 Handycam.
and you're the one actually you can hear counting down.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, I mean, since we're already there, so Bender, gosh, was that after or before his crash? I guess can't remember. I
It
get the
was
timeline
before.
messed up, but he had broken his Reese Bigfoot and he didn't have a fork. He was on a Carpiel Armageddon or something, but he didn't have a fork because he broke his Reese, and you're like, wait, dude.
Yeah. I showed up. We came into town to check out this guy Bender, and Derek had brought him in, and we went up to look at the jaw drop, and I was just like, right away, I was like, it's too flat. The landing's
Yeah,
too flat.
yeah,
And, it's big for sure, but it's too flat a landing. And he had broken his fork, and so I'm like, well, I'm not doing it. That's too flat for me, too big for me. You can use my fork. And we couldn't take the fork off without using the front brake too, because somehow it was welded. It was seized on. So he used my Monster T and the front brake. We swapped him over to his Carpiel, I guess it was,
yeah.
and then he hucked the jaw drop and landed and hit high-sided and flipped and hit a tree. And I had to hold his head still for 45 minutes or whatever it took for the ambulance to get there. My arms were cramping and I held and there's blood coming out of his nose and he was out of it. And it was a gnarly 45 minutes wait for that ambulance and it was scary. And then they called him off and then we took his bike and got all our bikes back to the place we're staying at. Then we went to go visit him in the hospital, and we got to the emergency room. We walked down the aisle. All the beds were wide open except for one bed, the one that said Josh Bender, and it had a white shroud all around it. And we're like, oh my God. And then we got there, and then we heard the nurse go, "Okay, Mr. Bender, we're gonna have to reapply that IV you ripped out again." And then we're like, okay, he's okay, he's okay. So we get in there, and he was a little bit rocked, but he was fine.
Yeah.
Then he went and tried it again 3 more times the next summer, and then I heard he finally said, "I think it's the landing's too flat." And I'm like,
Where
"I
have I
said
heard
that
that
the first
before?
time."
Yeah.
But my Marizuki Monster Tea is totally fine. I have it downstairs
You
under
still
the house.
have it?
I still have it. Yeah,
And
it's
it's like a prototype. It's not the production one.
yeah, it's the prototype. It's the one I got on my RM9 back in the day.
That's awesome. Did you ever
Yeah, it totally works fine. It's like smooth stroke. It's absolutely unscathed from the jaw job.
that's why they're
And
called
all the
bomb
things I did to it too.
That's why they're called bombers, dude. I
Yeah.
mean, you just rebuild them, clean them out, change the oil, and they just seem to last forever.
Yeah.
So, did you ever do any downhill racing, or was it just all about free ride for you?
Yeah, I didn't do any racing. I raced World Cup snowboarding. That was my thing.
Yeah,
I was all into racing. Free riding or mountain biking was all about free riding to me.
yeah.
I think I hit a couple of local mountain bike races. Um, I won like the sport class
Okay.
at my local mountain.
Yeah.
Um, but no, I never raced. I don't think I was that fast. I was really good at going slow on really steep things where, it was hard not to go fast. I was good at braking control, and jumping off things. And so, yeah, I was never a downhill racer. Free
So,
rider from the beginning.
so what you were doing in cam loops is definitely different, and we don't really have anything like that here, where you're just straight up like dirt surfing. But the other thing that Canada is really known for is like the bridges, the narrow bridges that you guys would build, more on the North Shore. Were you part of that movement, and can you talk about that?
I rode that stuff. I'd come down and visit Vancouver. I'd
Yeah.
come down and stay with Wade. And my first North Shore ride, I went and rode GMG, which was the gnarliest trail back then,
Hmm.
full of really high skinnies and, you know, 5, 6 foot drops to flat and stuff. And I came down to the bike shop. I think it was 95, and I got a bike from filming for Pulp Traction. There was another bike that the shock broke right away. And it's called a specialized ground control.
Hmm.
And it had like a tiny little shock and a tiny little fork. And I went down and I was going to ride on that. And one of the other mechanics said, "Hey, how's it going? Who are you?" And I go, "I'm Brett Tippie." And he goes, "I'm Johnny Smoke." And I'm like, "Oh, pleased to meet you." And Johnny Smoke now is a very famous mountain bike guide
Okay.
and longtime free rider, but he was a mechanic with Wade at the Deep Cove Bike Store. And he goes, "What are you doing?" And I go, "I'm going for a mountain bike ride with Wade." And he's like, "Oh, where are you going to go?" And I go, "GMG." And he's like, "You're going to ride GMG with Wade on that thing?" And he pointed to my ground control. I'm like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Oh, wow. Do you know what GMG is?" I'm like, "Nope." And he's like, "Oh, wow. Okay. It's really gnarly. It's our probably gnarliest trail. Do you want to use my bike?" And I'm like, and he points to this, it was a prototype Kona. I think it was a prototype Kona Sex 3. And
Okay.
it had the 3-inch um, uh, Judy downhill, the red downhill Judy.
Uh-huh.
And he had Magura HT22 fluorescent rim crusher brakes.
Nice.
And I looked at this bike and I look at him, and he had like I think it was the IRC missile tires.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, look at
Dude,
this beautiful bike.
I gotta show you let's see if I can point over here. Can you see that? Maybe you can't
No,
see that.
I'm still looking at you.
Oh, it's not showing up. I'm on the wrong camera. That's the problem. Anyway, I've got a bike right here that has all that right on it.
Oh, no way. Oh, I believe it.
I've got the Judy DH with the IRC missile tires. I'm an old school retro bike nerd. But yeah, go
Right.
ahead.
Oh, for sure, for sure. And so he lent me this bike with the RC missile tires and the 3-inch duty fork, and then I went rode with Kim Steed, um, Todd Fiander, Digger, the legendary trail builder,
Oh
and
yeah.
Wade. And oh my God, the trail was so gnarly. And it was like I ended up bleeding, but I rode everything eventually. But it took me a couple times to ride a few of the moves. And that was my first North Shore ride. And GMG, it was gnarly. But afterwards, I got back and I was so impressed that this guy, Johnny Smoke, would lend me his Kona Sec 3 prototype that I ended up hand painting a t-shirt for him. I used to buy um, blank t-shirts and hand paint them and airbrush them and sell them for extra money. And I did a t-shirt of him riding this bike with his ponytail and his clothes, riding down some steep slope, and I hand painted it to him to say thank you. It took me like 7 hours to paint it or something,
Uh-huh.
and I gave it to him. And then years ago, when I resurfaced from a dark time in my life and getting out of rehab and whatnot, um, I went my first mountain bike ride with him in forever, and he had saved the t-shirt in a plastic bag and he gave it to me from that day with the
No
bike in it.
way.
Yeah, it was really cool.
That's rad. So I guess the first free ride competition that I know of was in Moab, like in 1999.
Yeah,
And a bunch of Canadians showed up to that event, and the Americans didn't know what to think, right? Did you
yeah,
by chance go to that one?
yeah, yeah. Crispy, who won, Chris Bauman,
Uh-huh.
uh, he and I were the only guys to do the double rock shelf at the end of it.
Oh, you did that.
Yeah. But I crashed in the competition. I sent it and I was trying to like there was like a ledge and then another ledge. And to clear both, I went pretty fast and gave it a good pull.
Yeah.
And when I landed, I was a little bit aimed to the left and there was a rock that stuck out right at head level.
Oh no.
I was gonna take my head off. And so as soon as I landed, I went to the left and I went underneath the rock and lived.
Damn. I didn't know you were in that.
Yeah, totally. It's funny, like I went down there and I didn't walk the course, I just rode it to go
Yeah.
down the course. And I thought it was going to be so long. And so I was riding down it and I did everything blind as I went down. I was looking at it. Oh yeah, I unsighted everything and I did it. And then I thought it was going to be like 10 times longer. And then that was it. I was like done. And the last move was a big drop to flat. So I did it, landed and stopped. And I'm like, well, where's the rest of it? And they're like, that's it. And I'm like, oh, okay. So then, we practiced a bunch of times, and then I saw this crispy guy that I had just met that was airing the double rock, and I'm like, well, I'm
Yeah.
gonna have to if I want to win, I got to air the double rock too. And so I did, but I went too far to the left, and I went under. There's a rock sticking out on the landing that would have taken my head off, so I slid underneath it, and
Yeah.
I was fine.
Chris Bauman's a really good dude. He came on, well, gosh, a couple of years ago. He came on. But yeah, I mean, he's an OG free rider from back in the day, and
Oh, for
kind
sure,
of,
great guy.
yeah, really good dude. And he's coaching a lot of up and comers, and still racing. And he's racing a 2009 Turner DHR. He's still racing a vintage downhill bike, which is rad.
Wow, 26 inches.
He's got 26-inch in the back and 27.5 in the front, so like a mini mullet.
Right,
Um,
minimum.
so you used to mullet some of your bikes back in the day, and I didn't realize that that was
Yeah, I had left Rocky after doing the arm sixes and arm sevens,
yeah,
which broke all the time. Um, I ended up getting dropped by Rocky Mountain.
okay,
Picked up Thomas Vanderham
hmm
and they dropped me. And so I was getting a haircut from my mom when I got the letter, and I'm like, I'm not having my contract renewed. Like, oh my God. And so I went to Interbike and I ended up talking with Specialized, and they hired me to be their first free rider.
hmm
And so the bike they had was a 4 bar, which I was excited to try because I didn't think it would break as much as the thrust link
hmm
on the RM6s, or sorry, we're down our RM7s, and it didn't. And so I got this Specialized big hit, but it was 26-inch front wheel and 24-inch rear wheel.
They came stock that way.
That's how it came stock.
Yeah.
And it didn't break, but the 24 inch is kind of small for mountain biking.
Yeah.
And so it was a kind of a bizarre bike to use, but that's what I used in Rampage when I did Rampage in 2002.
It seems like the smaller wheel would slacken you out and lower you a little bit, or no?
Yeah, it put the bottom bracket pretty close to the ground and it just didn't roll over things very well.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. I mean, mullets these days with 27.5 in the back and 29 in the front. I really, really like those. I've never ridden a 24-inch wheel. I think it might. I'm 6'3" anyway. I shouldn't be riding anything that small.
Right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It was too small for mountain biking, but we didn't know any better. We're just like, oh, it's small, it's strong, and
Were
whatever.
Were you in Rampage 2001 or was 2002 your first Red Bull Rampage?
Yeah, I did Rampage 2002.
Uh-huh.
Um, it was in 2001. I heard about this Rampage thing, and I'd done the free ride competition in Utah before, in Moab there, and then when they did the first Rampage, I was kind of like, I don't know if I agree with this because free riding is free riding. As
Yeah.
soon as you get a competition, it's not free riding anymore.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I don't know, I'm not doing it. And then Wade went down and Wade won. And I was like, well, maybe I'll do it next year.
Right. Gotta beat him.
And so yeah, 2002 was my first Rampage, and it was wild because I got there and I met some guy in the bar, um, the Bit and Spur,
Uh-huh.
uh, a guy named Darren Bearcloth. And we met each other and we both hit it off. And we're both a couple native dudes, part native dudes. And we ended up having some beers and some more beers. And next thing I knew, we're drinking tequila. And we drank the Bit and Spur out of tequila.
No way.
Yeah, we drank them dry and tons of beers. And then we partied all night long. The next morning, we did the riders meeting. I was still drunk at the riders meeting.
Dude.
And yeah, it was gnarly. And then we gave all of our bikes to these youthful offenders, these young prison kids, to
Oh,
push our bikes up for us.
they're really
And,
offenders. You weren't just being facetious.
yeah, no, they were like little youthful offenders.
Right.
And so when we got to the top, I'm waiting for my bike to show up. Everyone's bike showed up except for mine, and I was rider number 11 to go. And I'm looking for my bike, and my bike never made it. So I had to run to the bottom and look for my bike, and my bike was gone. It
Dude.
wasn't in the pits. I ran around the pits 3 times and I gave up. I'm like, my bike's gone. And so I walked back to where my truck was across the road in the parking lot. And then I saw a handlebar sticking out of some bushes in the ditch. And I ran over there and uncovered these bushes, and there was my bike. And I'm pretty sure he covered it up and left it in the ditch because he went to go get a vehicle and come back with a vehicle and take my
Right.
bike.
Yeah.
And so I grabbed my bike and I ran up to the top of the Rampage course.
Oh my
And
God.
I made it in time for my run, but I was like sweating and heart was racing. My legs were rubber and it was time to go. So I dropped in, and then the helicopter hadn't flown for the first 10 riders. And rider number 11 was the first rider the helicopter got airborne for some reason, one or another. And he didn't know how close to come to the hill. And he
Uh-huh.
came super close to the hill and he rotor washed me with dirt while I was doing my Rampage run. And I was like, filled my left eye with dirt. So I did the rest of my run with one eye closed. And then I got down to it was, Canadian Bacon was the line that I was doing, and there was like an 8, a 10, and a 12-foot drop, but they weren't straight down. They were like 1 o'clock kind of.
Uh-huh.
So I had the stones lined up for the moves, and there's all these people standing around drinking beers and smoking pot, and everyone's milling all around, and I'm like, move, 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 and they all moved, but my little stones were gone and
Yeah.
there was students everywhere. And so I was like, saw the ridge that I needed to do. So I got into it. And then as I'm release the brakes and go for the series of drops, this blonde chick leans out in front of me and goes, throws me the horns and goes, give her Tippy, give her. And I have to go around her. So I went around her and the ridge was a little bit crowned and I ended up slipping off to the left and I ended up like going into no man's land, and I ended up ragdolling into these giant rocks, and I did my shoulder,
Oh
and
no.
then I climbed back up onto the trail, and I got a separated shoulder, and I'm just like, oh well, that was my big drop, and then it was that like 18 by 20 or whatever it was.
Uh-huh.
Like, well, what am I gonna do? Walk down? I don't think so. So I hopped on my bike and I sent it, and I made it, but I just knuckled it slightly, just slightly short, and my back end hit,
Uh-huh.
and I ended up bending my seat
Oh, dude.
with my pelvic bone. But I wore a plastic cup. I wore a plastic baseball ball protector, and I dented it.
Oh
I
my
would have I
God.
would have cut off my Johnson if I didn't have it. And so I'm sitting there, and then I look at the crowd, and then everyone goes, "Ooh!" I look at the crowd, and I go, "If you lose your left ball, is your right ball still your right ball?
Oh my God.
It's your ball left." I think I'm the only person to like crack a joke during their rampage run.
Damn. Were you still drunk or hungover when you dropped in?
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
So, I mean, you're the first person to crack a joke on Rampage, drop in drunk, but then, I mean, you filmed Pulp Traction on mushrooms.
Well, no, I was on mushrooms when I turned down the threesome
Oh, okay.
that night
Okay.
before. The night before.
I've only done, you ever been to Downeyville, California?
Uh, I've never ridden there. No.
The only time I ever did mushrooms was in Downeyville for whatever, probably somebody's bachelor party. That's where we always held bachelor parties. And I did mushrooms like in the middle of the night, 2 o'clock, rode from my cabin all the way across town to the bar and back, blindfolded on mushrooms. That's the only time I've ever done mushrooms. And I had people just yelling left or right because I couldn't see. I was hallucinating.
Oh my God,
That's
right.
the only, but I was like on a full downhill bike, so it didn't really matter if I ran into anything. That's the only time I've ever done mushrooms.
Right, right, right. Oh my God, funny.
Um, did you do Rampage again after that?
No, the next year I was a judge. Um, the year that I was there at Super T won, then the next year Cedric won, and I was a judge. And that
Nice.
was that was like so hard. I was like, I'm never doing that again. And I never did. Judging Rampage was like just so hard just to figure out whose lines are better than whose, and I didn't want any part of it.
Yeah.
Too much pressure, people hating you,
Yeah.
really hard to do. I really, really feel for the Rampage judges because other than riding, it's the hardest jobs there.
So can you talk a little more about that? I don't know if people quite understand. Josh said it was really stressful as well.
Yeah, you know what? You've got people that their careers are determined by the Rampage results. A lot of these free riders,
Yeah.
it's a big, big event that will determine their whole life, and you've got people taking different lines and doing different tricks and riding with different styles. It's just so interpretive of what you think is cool
Hmm.
to what they think is cool to what the public thinks is cool. And I don't envy them one little bit because, the criteria is what amplitude and overall flow and level of difficulty and just all that put together to try and figure out what is the raddest run. I don't know. It's so hard. It's I don't envy them because
Yeah.
I know Claude gets a lot of hate on his social media. Like, we're revoking your free ride license. I've seen comments like that, and we
Is
don't
he
care what you
a
want to do for it. You suck. And
is he a judge now?
he's the judge.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. I think there's Randy Spangler's head judge.
Yeah.
Greg Watts, ex slope styler is a judge.
Hmm.
Claw, Pierre Edward Ferry from France,
Hmm.
Bender, and Jeff Gulovich was a judge before, but he's not anymore.
Hmm.
Uh, who's the other judge? Um, Randy Spangler and Bender and Greg Watts and Pierre Edward Ferry and yeah. I think that's it. Oh, I think that's it.
So, just kind of boning up on talking to you today. I watched a couple of your videos. One of the scariest things I've seen you done, and my follow-up question is what's like the scariest or gnarliest thing you've done? But whatever that like spine was you did in Utah, where you just drop into no man's land. I don't remember what that thing's called. What was that called?
I don't think it has a name. Richie Slay calls it the drama line.
Okay.
Um, yeah, yeah. I don't know.
What's the gnarliest thing you think you've done?
Well, the gnarliest thing I've done wasn't on my bike. So when I used to race World Cup, I used to go to a bridge over Peterson Creek, which is the center of mountain biking in Counts. It's a nucleus, and there's a th bridge that's 300 feet above the ground,
Yeah,
and it's called the Peterson Creek Bridge, but there's no creek. There's just dirt down there.
yeah.
And I actually would go there in the middle of the night before the race season would start. The first races were typically in Europe, and I would get so jacked for the first races that I'd sometimes crash and blow it and have a good run going. So I wanted a way to calm myself down. So I used to go to the bridge, walk out there in the middle of the night, crawl over the railing, and there was a piece of cement about this wide, and I would balance on it and calm my heart rate because it's if you fall, you die. It's like open space,
And
and your heart.
that would calm you down?
Well, I would force myself to calm my heart rate down and just be like, and I would force myself to calm my heart rate.
Yeah,
And then I would get down to my snowboard position, and then I would visualize the first racetracks in my head.
yeah.
And when I got to Europe and I'd be in the first races, I'd be in the start gate, dude, 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 and I'd pull out. I'd be like, and I'd have experience with it,
Yeah,
and I would actually be calmer. And then my results went way better. And then I was cracking the top 10 in the world.
yeah.
And then I actually went there one time with a friend of mine, and he said, "Let's try that thing that you do." And I'm like, "Okay." And so I crawled out there and I'm snowboarding. I look over, he's snowboarding. I went about 10, 15 feet away in case he fell. He didn't drag me with him. And I look over, he's snowboarding, and then I get snowboarding. I look again, and he's hanging off the bridge by his hands. And I'm like, "Dude, what are you doing?" He goes, "Go for it. It's a rush." And I'm like, "Okay." And so I hung down there. I'm hanging off by my hands, and then I gotta beat him. We're dudes, right? So like
Uh-huh.
I look at him and I wave at him. And then he climbs up and he sticks his leg through the bridge, the railing, and he goes, "I dare you to hang off my leg." And I'm like, "Okay." So I'm hanging off his leg off the 300-foot bridge, and I'm just about ready to climb up, and I'm like, "I'm going for it." And I rolled up the bottom of his pant leg and I put it in my teeth. And you remember Soundgarden, that song they did Jesus Christ Pose?
Uh-huh.
And so I tested it, and if my jaw wasn't strong enough, I was just gonna grab his leg again, right? But I'm like letting go like a little bit, but it's strong enough, and I went and I did a suicide Jesus Christ pose, no hander,
Oh my God.
hanging from the Peterson Creek Bridge.
That's gnarly, dude.
And the only thing gnarlier than that I did is I told my mom about it 3 months later. She came after me with the broom, hitting me with the broom.
Yeah. That is nutty. You got good bite force.
Yeah, yeah. There's some moves I've done, like maybe it's not that gnarly now, but back then it seemed gnarly. But there was a place called Farwell Canyon,
Hmm.
um, north of, or sorry, west of Williams Lake, and it's like I don't know, 800 feet tall or something, and it's just super steep, gnarly chutes, and it had never been ridden mountain bike before. And I went and I did the first ascent down there.
Yeah.
Actually, I did four first ascents down there, and that was for Crank 2. And I went up there with Richie Slay and I ended up dropping off the top of that um, 4 times and did four first ascents.
Wow.
And that was nerve-wracking to do because no one had ever done it. And I didn't go down and clean any ruts up or any bumps. I just looked at it and said, "Yeah, I got it." And then I dropped in and did it 4 different lines.
Yeah.
And what was funny about that experience is that we were at the top and they asked if I could do it. And I said, "Yep." And then Christian Beijing start hiking to the bottom to go get a barbecue shot. They call it the barbecue shot because you sit there and have a mock barbecue while you're waiting for the athletes to come down.
Uh-huh.
So we're waiting for him to get to the bottom and radio back that he's ready. And as I can see him way down there, 800 feet or 1,000 feet, whatever it was, down low, I could see some black animal following him. And I'm
Oh,
like, oh, what? There's a bear following him. And the bear is getting closer and closer to him. And I'm like, he doesn't see it. Oh my God. Give me the microphone or give me the radio. And they gave me the walkie-talkie. And I'm like, Chris. And then the bear was like right behind him, like 20 feet behind him. And I'm like, and running towards him. I'm like, Christian, there's a bear following you. There's a bear following you. Go for the river. Go for the river. And he jumped into the river up to his armpits. And he's got his camera gear and his backpack up above his head. And the bear goes right to the shore and stops. And he's in
wow.
the water, staying there. And then he starts walking out of the river and he walks up to where the bear is and he pets the bear and he gets on the radio and he goes, Tippie, it's my fucking dog, you idiot.
Dude, you had me going.
And I was like, I thought I was saving his life, you
Yeah.
know? Oh my God. I just swore there. Sorry. I don't know if you're there allowed F-bombs on the show.
That is rat. No, no, it's all good, dude.
That's what happened. Anyway, so that was a wild one. Um, I've done some other gnarly ones, like I've done lots, so many first ascents. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's been some ones in France, and then there's some stuff around Kamloops, and um, I did. It wasn't a first ascent for me, but I did the Governator in Squamish, which is like a super steep rock slab that goes so like 100 feet, like super steep down to another rock, and then you got to turn, and there's a row of trees,
Uh-huh.
and it's you break traction on the rock and you're just like trying to brake, and you're like skipping, going a million miles an hour, and you hit the other rock, wham! And then you turn right and you just miss these giant trees you can't even put your arms around. It's so gnarly. I did that one. I did that one once. Did it perfect. And
Once was enough.
yeah, once was enough, totally.
Of all your, I asked Josh, I gotta ask you, of all your old bikes from back in the day, do you have a favorite?
Oh, my favorite is my current bike.
What are you
I have
riding? What are you riding today?
I'm riding a Benton Current, which is a
The what?
e-bike.
What is it? I mean, I thought they made like commuter
Yeah.
bikes
What
or
I don't
something.
know. Yeah, I think by the time this podcast comes out, it'll be released. As of right now, it's not released to the world. So
I can hold the podcast if you want me to. I'm happy to do
when
that.
does this podcast come out?
If you need it to be held, I'll hold it.
Okay, well, as long as it's after the 16th of this month.
Yeah, totally. Because Bender's is
Oh yeah,
coming out.
okay. So it's an
Bender's is
event.
coming out
Current.
tomorrow.
That's
So
my favorite bike is my current bike, and it's actually called the Current.
yeah.
Yeah.
So can you talk about it? As
Yeah,
long as
yeah.
this comes out after it's released.
Yeah, totally. It's got a carbon fiber front triangle, aluminum rear triangle. It's got an engine that's made through Aventon from a company called Gobao,
Okay.
and it's got 110 Newton meters.
Okay.
And when it's in boost, it's 120 Newton meters. So it's the same as the DJI, which is the most powerful, uh, e-bike motor on the world.
Yeah.
And it's a free rider special because you don't need a chairlift. You don't need a pickup truck. You just e-bike up and shred down. And it's
Um,
good. I
what
love
kind
it.
of travel does it have?
In the back, it has 140 mils, and in the
Uh-huh.
front, 160.
Uh-huh.
And then in a year, they're coming out with a bigger travel bike that'll be like 170, 180.
And so up until today, or until they release this, they've been primarily doing like commuter bikes and cargo bikes.
Yes, they've been doing utility e-bikes only
Yeah.
and selling, 250,000 a year. They're very good, very reliable. They have a zero point 0.1 return rate,
Mm-hmm.
very, very reliable.
Mm-hmm.
And people love them. They look cool, and I'm so happy to be with them. So my favorite bike is the one I have right now.
That's rad. 110 Newton meters.
110, yeah. And then when it's in boost, it's 120 Newton meters.
And what is DGI? Is that 110 or?
They're 120.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wow. Rad. Right on.
From the past, my favorite bikes. I don't know, like I liked a bunch of them, like that RM9 back in the day was awesome to have that
Yeah,
big gun when the other guys were on pipelines.
yeah.
Um, I did a lot of amazing things with that old DH race.
You were
I got
really
to
lucky
Las
to be
Vegas
you
when
were
I got
really
to
lucky
the
you
when
were
I got the
lucky to be
four bar,
sponsored. Go ahead.
the four bar design because the Rockies I broke all the time,
Yeah.
um, like all of them. So I got the specialized four bar, and that was a big change to get on that. That was super nice. And I have to say, like I've had a few bikes over the years that were um, glow in the dark. I had a glow in the dark YT Capra that it was painted white with glow in the dark.
Uh-huh.
And so I've had some really cool custom paint jobs that I've loved over the years. But my favorite bike is my Aventon Current.
Nice. I'm looking forward to seeing it.
Yeah. Well,
You
you got
were
a question
lucky
for me?
to be sponsored by Marzocchi because you always had like the best shocks, the best forks.
Yeah. Yeah. Way back in the day, for sure. And I think the Z1 really elevated the game for everyone,
Yeah.
as well as the fluorescent yellow Magura HT22 brakes made a
Hmm.
big change. Um, and then you know, there was so many advancements that it just made mountain biking better. And then I'd have to say that SR Sun Tour, when they came out with the Rux forks, have been
Yeah.
so reliable and so good, and
Yeah.
and nobody knows how good they are. Their high-end stuff is amazing. They make stuff for everybody,
Yeah.
and they make stuff for RockShox. They made stuff for Fox. They made stuff for DVO. They've made stuff for everybody. They have all the machinery, and so when they decided to make their own high-end stuff, it's amazing. It's so good. And no one knows it because they're just used to all that, just the standard stuff, the low end and mid end stuff that they make their bread and butter with.
Yeah,
But
I got a Rux dual crown from Mikey Hatter. Do you know Mikey Hatter?
no, like, yep,
Yeah, so I got one of his downhill forks, and so I'm like the vintage, downhill guy, so I don't have a lot of modern downhill bikes. Probably the nicest downhill fork I've ever had.
right.
I mean, super smooth, buttery, tons of adjustability, and it was actually pretty light. It was like a 6 pound fork.
Yeah.
Really, really nice. I don't know. Maybe people think SR Sun Tour is like low end, but like you say, I think they make Marzocchi, today. So we're,
They've got machinery to make everything. They've made suspension stuff for everybody out there.
yeah,
Their Duralex, I use the Duralex 180 a
uh-huh,
lot in the past few years. I've got a 160 version set up for my Aventon right now.
uh-huh.
But their Duralex forks are awesome. And like everything out there ends up creaking. I don't care
Hmm.
what fork it is. You hammer it hard enough that it's going to creak, except for the SR Suntour Duralex.
Really?
It just takes it like a champ, and you can smash it and trash it and not even look after them, and they just keep on working. They're just so wicked. They just like keep on rocking.
So
I'm so happy.
are you still partnered with those guys today?
I am actually, yeah. Yeah.
And Magura?
Nope. Nope.
Um, so who are you partnered with now? So you've got your current bike.
So I'm on current Aventon. I'm on
Uh-huh.
the current and I'm with Industry 9 wheels.
Really?
I'm with SR Suntour suspension,
Uh-huh.
Maxxis tires.
Uh-huh.
I'm with Mudhugger fenders,
Okay.
awesome fenders from England, and they know how to make fenders because it rains so much there. They're the best.
Uh-huh.
And then they have a close clamping section that's close to the arch, and then the fender is actually elevated away from the tires, so you get really good clearance. Very,
Yeah.
very cool design.
Yeah.
Um, I'm with Pit Viper,
Nice.
North Clothes,
Uh-huh.
510 shoes, Ergon grips, and they have the seat, the Ergon SME Mountain Core Prime seat. It is the most comfortable seat of all time. It's got three different layers of foam, and it's got a little lift on the back. It's made for e-bikes so that when you're climbing, this little lift at the end keeps you onto the center of the seat.
Uh-huh.
And then I'm not sponsored by them, but I like them. The Anomaly seated angle adjuster,
Really?
which so when you're climbing, you tilt it forward, and
Uh-huh.
you're as the bike angles up, you're sitting on a flat surface. And then when you're downhilling, you can tilt it back like a downhill seat,
Yeah.
or keep it flat, or keep it forward for big climbs. It's actually a really cool design.
Nice.
Um,
Um,
and as well, Whistler gives me a free bike park pass in the summer, and Sun Peaks bike park gives me a free pass in the summer, and Ava Hotel in
wow.
Whistler, and Toyota, sponsored by Toyota. I represent Tundra for them,
Nice.
and that's it.
Um, what do you have going for this season and this year? Where people gonna see you?
Oh my goodness! So I am actually shooting right now with Ali Dlulo, who's I think the number one mountain bike photographer in the world.
Hmm.
He's been one of the top three World Cup downhill photographers for 20 years, and he's been one of the top three free ride rampage photographers for 20 years. And we're shooting right now. And then I am flying over to Dusseldorf, Germany for a trade show there. Eurobike seems to be on its way out, kind of getting
Yeah.
less popular, and Dusseldorf is gaining in popularity.
Okay.
And we're gonna debut the new Aventon, which will be in the past by the time this comes out,
Yep.
but it's next week as of right now.
Yep.
Then I come back, and then I've been asked to be the expert for mountain biking and a judge for the Ultimate Mountain Athlete, which is a TV show with Selema Masekela hosting,
No way.
and Amy Ungerbretsen. The two are hosting, and I'm co-hosting the mountain bike section, and athletes mountain bike, ski, and rock climb.
No way.
And they
All
compete
they
to
have to
see,
do all three?
have to do all three sports to see who's the ultimate mountain athlete. Sorry,
Wow.
the ultimate mountain athlete.
Yeah.
And then I come back, and then I'm getting ready for Sea Otter, and then I'm announcing all the Canada Cup downhills this year, and some events like the Northwest Tune-Up in
Nice.
Washington and
Yeah.
Bellingham, and then the BC Bike Race, as
Cool.
well as a bunch of different random events and shoots that I'm going to be doing. My wife puts my schedule together like Tetris, and so I'm busy every weekend, and then I try and fit shoots in between all the events that I do.
And you
So
still got
keep,
time to ride your bike?
and you know what? I ride my bike because I'm also sponsored by Night Rider, and
Nice.
I love that one. And so I go night riding all the time because I'm so busy in the day. I don't always get a chance to go for a ride. So I use these Night Rider lights that are so powerful. I've got
Yeah.
4,200 lumens on the bars, and I got
Wow.
2,200 lumens on the head. So I've got 6,000 plus lumens of light. It's like riding in the day. It
Yeah.
doesn't even matter if it's night. And
Yeah.
it's like quiet, and I have the trails all to myself. And like I'm a dad, so I don't always have a chance to get out there. So at night, I can always go for a ride.
That's awesome, dude. Do you own an actual downhill bike or are you all about the e-bike right now?
I've got some old downhill bikes, yeah, still kicking around.
Yep.
Um, yeah. So Aventon only makes e-bikes, so I'm allowed to ride whatever downhill bike I want.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I ride my e-bike like 95% of the time, and then I have like a cross-country hardtail when I want to just hurt myself.
Right, yeah, fair enough, fair enough.
Yeah.
I'm
Dude,
XC
Brett.
and I know it.
Yeah, yeah. I went out yesterday on my hardtail just because I needed the punishment. But dude, those things hurt after riding the e-bike.
Oh, I know, right?
And I'm old. Brett, thank you so much for taking time to come on. Our people are really going to enjoy hearing and seeing from you. Like I said, we've got thousands of bike geeks all around the world that just love who you are and what you've done for the sport. So really appreciate your taking time today.
Well, that's awesome. I love them back. Hello to all your viewers and followers, and thank you for having me on. It's been an honor. Keep up doing what you're doing. Nostalgia is very powerful, and I'm going to watch to see who you have on next.
Yeah.
And keep on shredding. And hello and goodbye to everybody.
Mahalo. Have a great weekend.
Yeah, you as well.
All right.
Later, Chuck D.
See you, Brett.
All right, take care.